Hi, I'm Stan Goldstein with Kates-Boylston Publications, and today I'm happy to be joined by Zach Chatterton, the CEO and Chairman of Gather, who will be doing a webinar with us here at Kates-Boylston on Tuesday, April 26th, titled How to Keep Track of Your Chain of Custody. Zach, thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to be here, Stan. Good to see you again.
All right, my first question, I was looking at your website, and I love this part, your description of your company. It says, about Gather. We love software, snacks, and helping funeral directors. And we were voted one of the best places to work. So tell us a little bit about Gather, the history behind it, when it started.
Yeah, we definitely love our snacks. We also, funeral directors, so we have a few funeral directors on staff as well. And Gather was started about 10 years ago with the sole mission of helping funeral directors and helping funeral directors to help the families that they serve. So the reason I started this company is my dad passed away in a boating accident. My poor mom was pregnant with me and just going through her worst moments. But luckily, there was an incredible, kind, compassionate funeral director there to help her. And this company is a way to give back to that individual who helped my mom and the thousands of others across the country. Today is actually National Funeral Director Day.
Right, it is, yes.
Yeah. And so we love funeral directors. In FDA, we had it on our booth, huge, and we have it on our t-shirts that says we love funeral directors. So this is all we do. It's all we're ever going to do. We want to be the easy button for funeral homes to offer an incredible superlative experience for the families that they serve. Funeral homes work hard to create a great physical experience. We want to help them create a great digital experience for their families. And Gather's always in the background. It's not about Gather. We hide our logo. It's all white labeled. And you know, we want the funeral director to shine because we feel like funeral directors need to exist in the world.
Yeah. All right, so what makes Gather different from other solutions out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a couple things. Ease of use is a big one. So we've spent just an inordinate amount of time making it as easy to use as possible, not only for families, but also for funeral directors. And then the comprehensiveness of our solution. We have live streaming, websites, case management. We're announcing a new chain of custody as well. That's pretty exciting. We're working on new stuff. So we hear again and again, the funeral homes feel like a pinball, that they're jumping from system to system, and then their families are also being pinballed around between different software solutions. And so we want to create that great experience all in one place.
I like the pinball analogy. There you go. Brings me back to my youth. Thanks. Okay. You know, everything's always changing. What are some of the threats you see to the funeral industry?
Yeah, and this is just my own personal opinion, but so take it with a grain of salt. But we see a lot of interest in the funeral industry from outside the funeral industry, and that's new. So, you know, it's an industry that typically gets overlooked by Silicon Valley. It's not, you know, something most people in Silicon Valley don't wake up and say, I'm gonna work in the funeral industry, but that's starting to change. So we're seeing more and more money pouring in to this industry. They're kind of waking up to the potential in this industry, and their approach typically is to disintermediate the funeral home and to disrupt the normal flow of business. And we think that can't happen and shouldn't happen. So if you look at it in a corollary with taxi drivers, you know, Uber came in and disrupted taxi drivers, and taxi drivers almost don't exist anymore. And right. You know, that's on the net, that's probably better for the world. But if that happens with funeral directors, it's not better for the world. And there's a whole bunch that goes into that, but we don't think that should happen. We don't think that will happen, and we're kind of fighting with the funeral director to prevent that disintermediation from happening. Because going back to the story of my mom, you know, she needed her family to gather around her, hence the name, and that funeral director helped gather her family and helped, you know, it was only a few weeks time, but helped get her on the right path and moving forward. And I needed a place where I could go with a headstone, where I could go and, you know, as a kid and be like, that's where my dad is, you know, and I needed that. And the world needs to mourn. I think if we disintermediate funeral homes, we kind of eliminate that mourning process, which can have profound negative effects to society and as a whole. So that's one of the big threats that we see, is just people coming in and trying to disintermediate the industry, which again shouldn't happen.
I'm just going to ask you another question. You mentioned Gather in what you were just talking about. Is that where you got the name from? How you figured out the name, the Gather? So tell me about that.
Yeah, that was it. It's kind of dual meaning. It's gathering people, but then it's also gathering information that's needed. And again, humans need humans, especially when you lose another human. And so we think that Gather was the perfect name to tie everything together.
Yeah, definitely. And those threats you were just talking about, what is Gather doing to help funeral homes be ready for those threats?
Yeah, so we could not be more excited to announce Keep Track. So one of the threats to the industry is, or one of the antidotes to the threat that I mentioned is trust, and families feeling like they can trust the funeral home, that they're going to take care of their loved one. And that is where our chain of custody announcement comes in. We've been working for 6 months on this. Almost our entire team is working around the clock on this. And it's a new and unique way to keep track of loved ones, hence the name Keep Track. And it's pretty powerful, it's simple, it's easy to use, and there's a funeral component and a family component, and we even got a patent pending on it, so we're really excited about it. So that's one way. Another way is just being able to offer a great experience to the families. Families are expecting technology, and we want to be kind of that outsourced arm of the funeral home, where they use our technology team and our expertise to really shine to the families.
Right. And I believe that's what you're going to be talking about on your webinar with us on April 26th, a Tuesday. So give us a little preview about that. I believe 2 of your coworkers will be joining you too on that. So
yes. About that. Yeah, Violetta, our director of customer success, and then Audrina, who's one of the licensed directors on our sales team, will be joining us for that. And we're excited to reveal it. There's a lot to talk about, but in a nutshell, it's a simple, easy way. So we have a printed card that comes with a tracker on one side that gets attached, and it has a laser etched medallion or laser etched QR code on it that gets attached to the body, and then you can scan it with your phone through each step of the process. You can require signature so that everything is done in order. You can require prerequisite steps. It keeps track of fingerprints, belongings, all of the above. But then on the other side of that card, there's a medallion that the family gets, and they can scan that medallion at any time to be able to see that their loved one is being cared for. Obviously, they won't see all of the details, but right. They'll see it's in their care and that the arrangement conference is tomorrow at 8:30. And then after the fact, it links over to a permanent memorial remembrance page for their loved one. So it's a single thing. You just grab a Keep Track and go. You don't have to print anything. There's no sticky labels. It's just seamless, easy. So we're all about easy, and making something easy takes a lot more time than making something that's difficult. And so that's why we've been working on this so hard for so long.
Oh, wow. I'm going to be doing that webinar with you. So it's very interesting. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And
yeah, we
at the end of our conversation, I'll tell people how they can sign up for that. But yeah, that's really interesting. So that would be great. And so you mentioned the chain of custody. Why is that absolutely critical for every funeral home?
More than anything, we think that families need to trust funeral directors, and building that trust. This is a way to help build that trust and differentiate from anybody else that's trying to disrupt the industry. So this is something that, you know, is only offered through our funeral home to our funeral home partners. So this is something that you can display on your website, that you offer the patent pending Keep Track process to keep track of their loved one. And so that helps as consumers are looking, you know, should I go with a funeral home or go direct to consumer with a D2C company? And this will help sway that person to using a traditional funeral home.
Excellent. And all right, one, as we wrap up, I was on your website doing a little homework before I interviewed you, and I saw this. You said you met your wife when you were in 8th grade and knew immediately that you would marry her. So when did you marry her? What's her name? And did she feel that too in 8th grade?
Yeah, great question. I love that. So her name is Kara, and she's been absolutely the best, not only in my life personally and with our kids, but with Gather. And luckily for me, she knew as well. So kind of an interesting story. She had just kind of a spark of inspiration, I guess, that she was going to marry me as well. And so we got married after high school, and that was in 2006, and going strong, 5 little kiddos, and
Wow.
it's quite the adventure. So worked out well for us.
Great. And did you go, I know you're in Boise, Idaho now. Is that where you grew up too? Did you grow up in Idaho or?
Yep. Both she and I grew up outside of Idaho, outside of Boise in Caldwell, and our company's based here in Idaho, and
Right.
our whole development team's here, and we're excited for building the future of funeral software.
Definitely. It's very, very interesting. All right. So again, that will be April 26th. It's a Tuesday. I should know this off the top of my head, but I believe I'm just going to check my book here. It's at noon Eastern time, so 10 a.m. your time in Boise. Tuesday, April 26th, the webinar with Zach and his colleagues, and it's about the next generation of QR body tracking technology. And to sign up for it, go to AmericanFuneralDirector.com and click on our webinars tab. All right, Zach, anything else you want to say as we close?
No, just like to say thanks, Stan. It's always great to connect, and look forward to the webinar.
Okay, thank you, Zach, and have a great day. Thank you very much. All right,
You too.
bye-bye.